Hello and welcome along to the West Yorkshire Football Show. We're here for instant match reaction to Leeds United 2, West Ham 1, with myself, Stephen Brown, and joining me as ever, Mr. Jason Booker. Well, there we go, Leeds United fans. Leeds United back to winning ways. A 2-win, a vital victory for the Whites tonight that lifts us in the league, gets us another 3 points in the bag. Jason, a little bit nervy at the end. Obviously, we mentioned it then. We conceded late on just to make sure it couldn't be too comfortable for us. But overall, I mean, a fantastic result for Leeds. A result we needed, we wanted, Farke needed, and I mean, a blistering start.
Yeah, deserved as well, just to add in there as another word. But as Mr. Cree Somerville would say, back to winning ways.
I thought he had a stinker, by the way, tonight, Cree Somerville.
I mean, listen.
I was surprised at how
our American boy locked him down. He had a bit of a tough day at the office. Then he were getting clattered. They were just sticking it under him. They were right from the off with everyone. It weren't just down to Somerville. They were sticking it in on everybody. The only man that they didn't really get hold of the whole game was Jared Bowen. Every time Jared Bowen got on the ball, it felt like something could happen. I can't believe they didn't give it to him more. Some of that was just the simple fact that we defended really, really well. And I said to you before we came on, why does it always feel like every half chance has to go in against us? Like, they had nothing in that second half. Nothing. You know, we sat back a little bit deeper than maybe some would like, but it meant we were really comfortable. We gave them no gaps.
Did they have a shot the second half? I don't even recall them having a shot on goal.
I don't think so. Perry had nothing to do really other than collect a couple of balls and you know, it were a delicious cross by Bowen, it was, that's then flicked on, but it's still only half a chance at best. There's a bit of a gap between the two centre backs, but I don't even know where you want to start tonight, but what a pleasure it was to see just two centre backs that just want to defend. They just want to defend. They're good on the ball as well. They're comfortable and composed in possession. I will worry about the pair of them together when they face a team that really presses them quickly. I can see that Yaka might get caught on the ball at times, but from a defensive point of view, he is head and shoulders.
Some of those head outs that he was doing, by the way.
Yeah. He's just
he heads it to the halfway line, nearly. I'm like,
he's just a beast. He's just a beast. And I mean, look, not to bounce around too much. We have to be careful not to get too gassed. West Ham are definitely going through a sticky phase at the minute, but 1-11, when they've got their strongest team against our strongest team, you pick most of theirs, and we're equalising it out by good tactics, a good team cohesion, and a team doing it together. They looked like they really wanted to set about it today, did the lads, and hence we were then 2-0 up within no time at all. So
absolutely. A couple of comments that I just want to bring in as well. Guys, get your comments in, like the video, all that good stuff. Gav, a must-win game, and we did it. Johnny, this was 3 points well earned, and the team deserve praise, and Farke as well. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go back to the start then. The team sheet. Obviously, there was a lot of debate and chat around. Would certain players get in? Would Farke mix the team up? I've got to be honest. I thought realistically Perry coming back in was what he was going to do. I didn't expect. Well, maybe Stat coming out. Actually, I was more inclined to say that, but I thought he would stick with Strike. To be honest, now I don't know if it's the illness thing or maybe those kind of accumulative, not outright mistakes from Strike, but just those little things. Maybe that's kind of it has impacted the decision somewhat. But we got the team sheet, Jay, and there were changes.
Yeah, I mean, it was very pleasing to see, because you're right, over our time experiencing Daniel Farke, he wouldn't be one to ring the changes very often. I think he was a little bit upset about what happened at Burnley from a pace point of view, an effort point of view. I think there were things that he didn't like within that. So, you know what, he's shown his teeth a little bit. I think Pascal would have started. I don't think the illness had anything to do with him starting or not, because he was on the bench. You know, if there was an injury after 2 minutes, he then plays. You know, if there's an injury to one of the back two, he plays the whole rest of the game. So if he's not fit, Born would have made the squad, wouldn't he? So I think it was just a pure selection thing, and we've seen the difference. You know, again, we're going to face more difficult opposition, but we've seen the difference that makes already, and I think between the selection potentials, I think he got them all spot on. I I think he got them all absolutely bang on. I'm really glad that he didn't bow to the other pressure in Brendan, because, you know, we've seen Brendan play really well, I think, in large parts of the last 3 or 4 games. He didn't have the greatest game against Burnley, but he still was one of the better players. You read online and you'd think he'd, well, I don't know. I can't get on board anymore with some of the logic that fans are putting towards Brendan Aronson, because today, I mean, Joe Rodon gets man of the match. I would say he was arguably man of the match today, Brendan Aronson. I thought he was excellent. I thought defensive workload down that side, keeping Somerville and Diouf quiet. But then not only that, he was making some really good movement through the channels. He was carrying the ball with confidence, and he even put the ball around the back of them 3 times tonight, twice to Dominic Calvert-Lewin and once to Jayden Bogle. He's not really shown us that he's got the capabilities of doing that consistently. So I'm buzzing for him. I mean, he's my American boy. I'm so glad at the end of that.
Can we talk about the run that he did as well? I mean,
yeah, go for it, mate. You talk about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. For me, Brendan was my man of the match, and I just wonder if certainly he gets his appreciation in the stadium after a game like that. He gets the ovation when he goes off, absolutely rightly so, and that's not the first time it's happened this season yet. If you just look online, all that's forgotten. And I think when he came off, we actually lost an outlet. We lost someone sort of standing the ball up and kind of
didn't even see James, did we?
A bit, no. You know, I thought that's what Aronson was doing really well, was standing the ball up and just giving us time to push out and breathe. That run that he made, I mean, it was just like messy. It was so good. And I've said this to you. How many times have I said, Jay, that he's got to use his diminutive size, his low centre of gravity. He's got to start doing that a bit more. And those type of performances, that's what he's doing. He can twist away these big, 15-stone guys. They just sail past you. And that perfectly encapsulated it. If that shot had gone in, Jay, honestly,
I'd have gone off.
I would have been screaming the house down, mate. Honestly, I was absolutely buzzing. I was so hoping that was going to crash into the back of the net.
Brownie, I actually think now we're bordering on a little bit of an obsession from some of the fans with him. There's so many other players that kind of lumber around. No, not lumber, because I don't think we've got that kind of team, but there's so many other players that have half-assed games, that don't really play well, that just go, there's no criticism in their direction. Brendan plays well and gets it. He's just, he's so unhelpful and unfair. And, today, I just thought it was brilliant. I think we're at the point now where a lot of people are not going to like this, but we're at the point where you're in a genuine discussion about whether he should start when everybody's fit. I think he's in that conversation. I'm not saying that is right or wrong, but he's in that conversation because he has contributed significantly. Outside of Okafor's inspiration and his little bit of X factor, the best creativity that we've had since Brendan started starting games, when Dan James got injured, it's come from Brendan Aronson. You can like it or not, it's the reality, it's the facts. The creativity is coming through him, and the more confident he gets and the more kind of support he gets, because I think he's very mental. He's got the mentality is a problem for him, because you can see technically he can do it. So the more he can build on that, the more likely he is to contribute in the ways that we want him to contribute.
Well, he got into that flow state, didn't he? Like he did against Bournemouth second half, where you could see that he was like, the confidence was there. And I think you bang on. I think mentally it's so key to him. So let's back him.
He offers more in possession than Dan James does. I'm not saying that that's a right or wrong decision. You have to play differently if you're going to play Dan James. But on the ball, he offers us far more than Dan James does. Dan James is better when you're getting it in behind and you're stretching teams. But in terms of actual build-up, Brendan's a far better option. I would say Brendan is very comparative to Gnonto right now. And when you compare recent output from the two of them, Brendan's head and shoulders above him. Head and shoulders above him. People want to just gaslight the fan base into thinking that Gnonto's a prestigious talent and offering so much. And the reality of what actually happens on the pitch isn't that.
No, I agree. And what I also really like is the yin and yang between him and Okafor.
Yeah.
And I think the first half we looked dangerous, and Okafor coming back into it, Jay, clearly a plan, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And you saw again, he's when he picks the ball up and he's driving at the defense, he's got the quick feet, and obviously when he's not there second half, you lose that outlet on that side. it is night and day between him and Harrison. There's no doubt, but also a massive boost to see Okafor coming in, and that's almost perfect. The fact that we got off to a quick start as well, and it just felt like, oh, this is
helped
gonna be our
everything,
night.
didn't it?
Yeah,
It did. Yeah, no, you spot on, mate. With Okafor, he's just, we keep saying it, but he's just got that little summer. He's just got the X factor in comparison to the rest. It's not the same in terms of quality, but it's very similar to when Rafinha was in the side as opposed to Helder Costa and Jack Harrison and the other players that we had down the wings at the time. You can just tell he's got the quality. He confuses opposition players. He occupies 2 or 3 bodies because they can't deal with him one-on-one. Similar to what Bowen does for West Ham, just again not as good. So he's key. He's absolutely key, and I was happy. If that is the case, it was just a precautionary. It was already planned to get him 45 and get him off. I think that was very, very shrewd management by Daniel Farke. I think Farke got it spot on today. I've already seen, again, people just can't help themselves. People were complaining that we only brought Gruev on when we brought Gruev on, and it should have been more than one at the time. And I'm like, we've already made 2 changes. At that point, we'd already made Gunnarsson had come off, and we'd brought Okafor off as well. Like, you can't. The stability of the team needs to be withheld. You can't just go and chuck a load of new players on. We chuck players on and we end up conceding. I'm not saying that was a reason, but honestly, people just say stuff.
Well, it's anything to kind of knock him, isn't it? At that point, when it's getting to that kind of level. The goals. Let's talk about the goals then, Jay, because it was a quick start. I mean, I'd just about sat down, and there we go. Brendan Aaronson's rifling it home, and it's just one of those perfect kind of Leeds United nights, isn't it? Under the floodlights, and an early goal like that, and Brendan getting it as well. Massive boost for him, obviously, and reacted it much quicker than the West Ham players. And Okafor driving in for that header as well. I mean, West Ham were like statues, weren't they, at that point?
They were awful defensively. It's got to be said. Like, early on, they were really poor. I mean, that stat that came up that they'd conceded 9 goals from corners already this season. Like, what on earth is that? And they were very, I mean, not to skip ahead of the goals, but they were very lucky to only be 2 down at half time. Yeah, really lucky. It should have easily been 3 or 4. Easily could have been 3. I mean, Ethan gives away a couple of opportunities when he could have made a better decision and whatnot. But yeah, the goals, great header by Okafor. He's a presence, because he's a big lad for a winger. He's a right unit. 6'2". He's not like a diminutive winger at all. And great cross by Jayden Bogle as well, by the way. I thought he had a much better performance today. Much better. But yeah, great cross by Bogle, great header. And Johnny on the spot, man, always there. Mr. Brendan Aronson couldn't have fallen to a better player. Always trust him in front of goal. Okay, now I'm taking the piss, but you know what I mean. I'm glad it fell for him. And the second. Oh, Joe Rodon header. I mean,
Rodon's up to 3 now, including Wales.
We have very clearly been working on these set pieces. I mean, since we brought the set piece coach in and Longstaff started taking the deliveries, I mean, it's a different world.
Yeah, we feel threatening, don't we? We feel properly like we're gonna do something here.
I mean, the delivery is quality. Nearly every time from Longstaff is quality. It's in and around the 6-yard box with pace, so the keeper can't come out and collect it. And they were stood still with West Ham. The defending was shocking, but it's a great header by Rodon. Deserved man of the match tonight as well. I mean, I'd have probably just edged it to Brendan, especially after we then concede late on. I think it's hard to give a centre-back clean sheet, but it was given before the clean sheet was gone. But he was massive, as he has been all season. And I don't know if this is, again, just a Jason bias, but I thought he looked more comfortable today as a consequence of having Bale next to him. He wasn't doing as much down the left-hand side. He didn't need to.
Yeah, indeed. Mr. Bell, our very own. Good win, lads. Anything to rattle Downsy. Martin.
That man was rattled tonight. Oh, that man was rattled.
He were on 1-1 tonight. Another late goal conceded, but we got away with it. Let's talk about some of the other people that came back into the team then. Tanaka, love Tanaka. Just watching him, when you just watch a player and he's just kind of bobbing around, he's got the long hair, I just think he's just cool. But I thought he came in and really gave us a new energy in that midfield 3. And it wasn't a game that he dominated or anything. I don't think he dominated the game or anything, but I love his energy and his spark, and I think technically he's very good as well. What did you make of him coming back into the team? And Stack being dropped.
Yeah, I think it's telling that Stack didn't come on at all, and maybe again he was just precautionarily kept off because of the knocks he's been taken, and we didn't need him. It felt more energised with Tanaka in there than it does with Stack and Longstaff. But I think Longstaff and Ampadu had a part to play in that as well. They were about it today. Ampadu was exceptional in the first half, really driving the play forward. He was box to boxing. He was getting us on the counter attack and bursting through the lines quickly, and it made such a difference because we weren't then turning over the ball quickly. We weren't slowing it down every time. It was much better. But yeah, Tanaka, I mean, we know what we're going to get with Tanaka. And I think the worry for me was always that physically he would be kind of bullied out of games against big Premier League midfielders. I think you saw today that wouldn't be the case. I think there's West Ham have got a quite competitive, or combative, I should say, midfield, Souček, and he applied himself really, really well, mate. And I was liking that he was always the option. He was confident enough to pop it off first time. We were brave in possession in the first half as well. First one-touch football, first touch, popping it off, and Tanaka can do that. He's technically very good. It's going to be really interesting in that midfield battle because there's a case to be made for all four of them, and I think Gruev's the backup defensive option when it goes like it did today. And I don't mind him coming on in that role, but a few weeks ago we were saying it were going to be Stack, Tanaka and Ampadu, bottom midfield, and Longstaff comes in and looks the part, and then you're saying, well, it's definitely Longstaff, Stack and Ampadu. Then that Stack has a couple of bad games, and now it's Tanaka, Longstaff and Ampadu, and you'll hear it from fans this week that should be the trio. Maybe it's okay that it can be all of them, at one given time or another, that there's horses for courses, and Stack's going to have to step up. He needs to play better than he has done over the last 2 or 3 weeks. And if that's because of an injury, then great. That's even better for Leeds. So, yeah,
absolutely, indeed. Lucas Perry coming in for his first game for a while. Was it the Newcastle game at home? Was that his last game, which seems an age ago? I thought he equipped himself really well. I just feel like you're watching a very, top goalkeeper. Bear in mind, this is, only his fourth appearance, and you're settling in, but it's like later on he was really shouting and really communicating with his defence at a corner. And I mean, that first half chance, that Bowen volley or whatever it is, and it hit at him so hard, he parries it away and then dives and then taps it. I just thought that was superb.
Great reactions. I mean, I said to you during the game, he's it.
Yeah.
Like, you can... Like, I know we had a couple of nervy moments with him early on, but I think that were more to do with what he was doing or not doing with his feet. And that seems to have kind of been changed a little bit in the way that we're now setting it up. Really liked the little play out of the press that we were doing as well, where Biol tapped it to him and then he pinged it into Ampadu, gave it back to Biol, and we were out. It was really smart. I couldn't believe that they didn't really stop us doing it, but it worked. But yeah, he has a presence about him, which is the difference. He's solid. He's a unit. When he goes up to collect a ball, you know he's going to collect it. And you're right, like, he was quick, his reactions. And keepers, I think, one of the biggest problems that Ilham Elie has, as an example, is he's too nice. Like, he's almost like a bit feeble as a goalkeeper. You need to be a bit mental. The best keepers are always a bit mental, and he looks mental. The way that he carries himself, he's got it about him. I like what we've seen, and I hope it continues. He deserved a clean sheet tonight as well. But Salavi,
nothing he could do with a goal, was it? So far into the corner. But yeah, promising signs from Perry. James Justin, Jason, probably saw more of him than we would like in terms of unfortunately an injury to Gabby Gudmundsson. We don't know what that's like. I'm going to search for some Farke comments later. But James Justin, I thought he slotted in really well, looked really comfortable, looked up to the level. Biggest compliment I can pay to him. It wasn't like, oh no, who's this horrible? I mean, you really felt like he just slotted in perfectly. And if you're not going to probably keep both fullbacks fit all season, but if he has to come in, I'm comfortable with that. I think he can do a job. I thought he looked good.
I thought it was excellent, if I'm honest. I thought it was absolutely excellent. I'm a bit like you. When that sub happened so early, I was a little bit like, and I didn't realise just how comfortable he was on his left foot. I thought it was going to be the Sam Byram show when it was constantly backing on his right foot. He looked every bit as left-footed. He was very comfortable, and I don't know whether he'd be able to deliver crosses on his left or dribble on his left. That's a bit of a different story. But he was able to pass the ball comfortably down that touchline with his weaker foot. So I thought it was great. He had a really good reading of the game. Bear in mind, he was up against the best player that West Ham have, in Jerry Bowen. I mean, and Jerry Bowen did cause problems, but he caused problems before and after Goodmanson was on the pitch. So I think he dealt with it as well as he could. They threw all sorts at us down that side in the second half. I think Jack Harrison, even though he didn't have a great game going forward and wouldn't offer us what Okafor did, I did think he did a good job defensively against the two of them, because Wan-Bissaka came to that side and they were trying to get in down there and they couldn't really. They you know, anything that West Ham created down that side was through inspirational individual quality from Bowen, not because they unpicked us or anything like that. So yeah, really happy with that performance, mate. I actually thought it was excellent.
Yeah, indeed. In terms of, do you think that impacted us, Jack Harrison coming on that second half, do you think that played into why we ended up kind of sitting back, or is that just game state? You've got a 2-0 lead, you're trying to protect it. Why did it change that way in your opinion? Is that just natural kind of how it progressed? Did West Ham get a rollicking at half time, or, why did it switch to a kind of more kind of defensive sort of, I suppose, performance that second half?
I think we've seen it before, haven't we? I mean, we've definitely seen it under Farke where he doesn't mind doing that. I think the pragmatism definitely takes over. And again, he was spot on tonight because we won. Yeah. And sure, some people will say, well, we conceded later on, and if we'd have conceded again, well, we didn't. And we shouldn't have conceded that one either. So he got it right. And if it was tactical, I think there's a bit of both. I think not having Okafor in the second half limits us, and we're then left with making sure that we're resolute with the other areas of quality that we've got within the team. So you then rely on your defensive solidity, which we did. I don't think it was as one-sided in that second half as people will think, though. I think if you
we had actual shots and stuff, didn't we?
I think we had every bit as good chances as they did, if not better. I mean, bear in mind, we hit the crossbar. We had another couple of moments as well. They had their one chance, and it was a flick on from 15 yards out, 12 yards out, something like that. It was a half chance at best. I've just seen Gav's comment there about free header for their goal like Burnley. I don't think it was quite like the Burnley one, because we were set up for a cross to come in against Burnley, which was why it was such a poor header to concede. This was very different. The ball comes in from such a weird angle. There's a bit of a gap in between the two centre backs, but you never expect somebody to score with a header from that angle in that kind of. It was just one of them moments. It's an inspirational kind of cross from Bowen and a real improvised finish. But mate, do you remember the what game were it? The Wolves game. The Wolves game when we won 3-1, 2-goal lead. Very comfortable sitting back and defending the lead. It felt exactly like that. And we said that game felt exactly like a lot of championship games when we went 2-0 up as well. It felt exactly like that. I'll be honest, I weren't ever concerned that we were going to lose that game or draw the game at 2-0. Never. Now, when they went 2-1, there were flutters. But I still had fair confidence that they'd see it out. And they did. I were happy with it. Every fan would want us to go on and score more goals. But when you get into the second half and the game state is that they've changed and they're pushing up and they've got less to lose, you've got to be crazy unless your team is really, really, really good to go on and score third, fourth and fifth goals. In the group, they were going mad like, we should be getting goal difference. We're a team that are expecting to finish 15th or 16th, guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, let's just have some perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael saying here, it's a dangerous game if it was tactical at this level anyways. Okafor off at 65 if it was healthy, get that third. See, I thought for the first half of the second half, if you see what I'm saying, we were still creating stuff, still the opportunities. And I think, you have less threat on that counter attack. Obviously, Brendan, terrific game, but on the other side, I think we Harrison, obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not a speed merchant. Do you remember a couple of years ago we used to do it in the Championship? I mean, even last year with Dan James, but particularly in the Rutter Somerville year, where counter-attack goals, transition, just knock into it. You know, we'd be defending and then all of a sudden we're like lightning up the pitch. Now, you know, maybe if you have a fit Okafor in that second half, I do think, you know, a third would have been on the list, but it, you know, didn't happen that particular time. But who cares? We won the game anyway. Want to bring up Michael's other comment here as well, and just touch back on the Bijol stuff. Bijol had some really nice blocks that second half, ones that Pascal might not get to. Game of inches, great 3 points. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. For you then, Jay, is Bijol, is that it? Is he in now and Pascal's not back in?
100%. I mean, like, I got to be careful because he's still a Leeds player, and I want every Leeds player to do well, because it means that my team do well. But I'm aware of the fact that how often I go on about him, it now probably looks and feels like a bit of a bias, bit of an agenda. I've got an agenda with Pascal because of what I see on the pitch, and I'm constantly concerned about the fact that he's letting my team down. It's not a personal thing. I would prefer him to be Virgil van Dijk 2.0 and, you know, see us through games week after week after week. It gives me no pleasure to say that I don't think he's very good. I think you see a centre-back today who he's just a solid defender. I don't even think Jacobiol's like a super special defender. I just think he's concentrating, switched on, aggressive. Like, he's aggressive at the right times. Pascal will run off to left-back position. That's his version of being aggressive. And it's with no common sense to what he's doing. Bijol, you can tell he's in control of what he's doing. He's very good at making last-ditch tackles as well. Made one against Callum Wilson today. That's one of his kind of specialities. He likes sliding in and making that challenge. He's excellent in the air, which Pascal is as well, but I'd say Yaka's probably got a little bit on him on that as well. He's more commanding. He's more dominating. Is he better or worse in possession? I think we saw a couple of times when he gave the ball away today, passing it into midfield. Maybe that's got something to do with the fact that he's playing on his unfavoured left side and he's cutting back onto his right. I'm not sure, and I'm sure he'll build into that. But he has got a reputation of being a ball-playing centre-back. I'm not so sure on that. I think that term gets loosely said, ball-playing centre-back, and I don't even really know what it means because people class Pascal Struijk as a ball-playing centre-back, and he's not. He's a footballer who can pass the ball 5 yards sometimes. That's it. So for me, mate, it is night and day, and I hope I'm not proven wrong in future games. But I weren't proven wrong today. I thought Bijol was excellent today. I thought it was almost flawless. There was maybe one moment where he would like give the ball away and gives a bit of the heebie-jeebies, but apart from that, that was it.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think as the season's kind of progressed, and like Michael said about small margins and these little things adding up, and it was just nice to watch a defender defend and, like you say, so switched on. And, you know, I mean, every time West Ham were throwing them balls in the box, I had no fear at all because I just thought Rodon and Bijol are just behind this completely.
The biggest difference between the two of them, Browney, is that Pascal's natural reaction to defending is to back away from the attacker. It's to run away from the ball and try and jockey and maintain. Whereas Yaka's first and Joe Rodon's first thought is to go towards the ball, win the ball, get something on the ball and get it away. That's the first art of defending for me. I think Pascal's got a little bit of insecurity. I think the way that he defends is a bit insecure. You know what I mean? So, and at championship level, he can get away with it because, for two reasons. One, the attacker will ordinarily overrun the ball and he can nick in and get it because the quality is less. And number two, if he doesn't and they get a shot off, they'll probably miss because they're not as good technically. Whereas in the Premier League, Matthias Tell, for Spurs as an example, gets a shot on target and it hits him and goes in as a deflection. In the Championship, that probably just goes that player. You know what I mean? So, again, this is why I've gone on and on and on for 2 years that Pascal doesn't get the criticism that he should at his door because not so many of his mistakes didn't end in goals. But we've seen throughout the beginning of this season that his mistakes have started ended up in goals conceded.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Bijol's managed to get himself in the team. Hopefully he can stay there. Gav, partnership can only get stronger, hopefully. Johnny, the centre-back pair look rock solid, should start week in, week out. Yeah, we certainly hope so. Just a quick word on West Ham, Jacobs. Nuno, we both rate Nuno. Did a fantastic job at Nottingham Forest. It's been a difficult start for him at West Ham. I look at their team though, and I'm going, you've got so many good players. I don't understand what's going on. I mean, you look at that team tonight: Paqueta, Bowen, Juve, Somerville. I just, where's it going wrong? It's mad. And why I ask partly is, and it's the same with Forest as well, who were meant to be really good last night in the Europa League, Sean Dyche's first game, which they won. And my worry is, like, these teams have got more talent than Leeds in them, and if they get their act together, they're just going to zoom up the league. And I'm kind of left scratching my head, going, team that's got that many good players, what on earth's going on? And my worry is that they will get their act together and just eventually climb above us.
I mean, you still need to get points on the board, though, don't you? And
yeah.
I made the point before the game that at some point you'd think that West Ham are going to get their act together, and that could have been against us tonight. And I mean, they showed no signs of it, did they? They were poor. They were really poor tonight. I think they were poor, but I also think that then takes credit away from us. And I thought we were really good, especially in the first half. I thought we really set about it. He did make some odd choices tonight. Started Wan-Bissaka at left back and then a left back at right back, which I thought was really weird, and changed that quite quickly. I mean, when they went 2-0 down before the injury to Scales, they were going to bring on Callum Wilson anyway. So, if ever a manager's having to make a substitution 20 minutes in, they've got it wrong. And Wan-Bissaka then went to right back. Paqueta playing it up front as a false nine. I'm never going to agree with that because he's such an influential midfielder. But there's big problems at that club. I mean, Paqueta, I thought he had a really poor game overall, and in my opinion, I think he wanted to be sent off. He was looking.
I was thinking the same thing then. Yeah,
he was looking to give him a second yellow card, and it was almost like he wanted the attention of the petulance, and there's problems there. Jared Bowen weren't really even doing the job as a captain to try and pull him away. He would have been a little bit placid with it. I thought Max Kilman had a shocker at centre back for them. Tabido, awful distribution out of the back. And I mean, again, the tag of ball playing centre back. He's a ball playing centre back. I mean, his passing range was awful. Souček didn't even really have I think he had less touches than the sub that came on after 75 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the commentator said something.
That Fernandez as well has spent 40 million on him, and his set pieces and some of the decisions shocking, wasn't it?
He ends up scoring, doesn't he? He was the one that scored the goal. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But the quality outside of that, I mean, there was nothing to write home about other than Jared Bowen. Bowen was it was literally like they were playing with one man. It was like a one-man team.
Yeah.
It reminds me, it's funny because Jared Bowen, the last time I really remember us playing, I know it's not because we played West Ham a couple of times in the Premier League, but he played against us at Ellen Road for Hull in a 2-1 win right before he then left. So he was rumoured to come to us when we were at the top of the league, and he ended up going to West Ham in the Premier League. And he played against us, it was like 3 days before deadline, and he then signed for West Ham straight after the game. And he absolutely terrorised us. We still won the game, but he was an absolute pain in the arse. He was so good. And it reminded me of that game because they were a one-man team in that whole team as well. So, yeah, they're a funny side, mate. But they need to lock into West Ham, and the fans. At the minute, the fans are doing a job in actually sending them down. I truly believe that. I think there's such a funny fan base.
It was funny you mentioned that because I were thinking there were a moment in the Ellen Road crowd when we were kind of comfortably defended in the second half where I thought and there were a few like, that kind of, and I thought, nah, look, we're in the Premier League and we're up against, we're gonna have to have some sit-in times. I think it's adjusting, isn't it? Especially after 2 dominating years in the Championship, but there's going to be plenty of time where it's going to be games like that where 20-25 minutes can go and you've barely been outside your own half.
100%. I mean, we've won 3 out of 9. That's a pretty good going, and we've drawn 2 of them 9 as well. It's not bad going in the Premier League, isn't that, boys? Like, it's not. And we're 30% towards the win total that we need, roughly. 10 games will keep us safe. We've done 30% of that already. You know, again, if we can pick, we've got a couple of winnable games coming up. If we manage to get another 1 or 2 in that, I mean, you're talking about us having 1 foot back in the Premier League like next season, as long as we can maintain it. And again, you know, it's now time to start talking and gassing Farker again. Because again, he deserves it. You know, I was standing staunch beforehand, you were standing staunch beforehand, and the people that couldn't wait to jump all over him after Burnley had a few hours, because that's what we, for some reason, do as a fan base. You have to start giving him some credit. You have to. You know, West Ham are an established Premier League club. Are they in a bad moment? Yes, they are. But the likelihood is that they will still stay up and they'll find the point somewhere to stay up this season. If they don't, they're probably going to go down as a consequence of Leeds United finishing in front of them. That's a huge, huge accolade towards Daniel Farke. I mean, when I saw the 2 11s today, I thought they were probably a little bit closer in terms of quality, because beforehand I were quite staunch, and I think West Ham have probably got a better 11.
Yeah.
But still, like, if you were to look at their 11 and you think Paqueta, Somerville, Bowen, you know, Souček even, I would say probably, Wan-Bissaka, you'd probably argue up until really seeing Perry, Areola, Tobido, I'd say, you know, given his reputation, would all get into our starting 11. Especially the front section of the team would all jump into this team. I mean, imagine how good we'd look with Bowen or Somerville in the team.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the case because of the cohesion and the tactics and Daniel Farke. It doesn't just happen by accident.
Exactly. You
can see that by Nuno not being able to get a note out of West Ham. Because at worst, Browney, that team's comparative to ours. At worst.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I agree. And I think we discussed it on Thursday about, if, you know, you get rid of Farke, you lose all that stuff, all that cohesion, the XG we've been talking about, players improving, you know, all that goes out the window. And then you're on that merry-go-round, that managerial merry-go-round where you can end up with Tom, Dick and Harry, who are all useless. I think we've really got to be careful what we wish for as a fan base. I think you're absolutely right. I think there will have been fans out there sharpening the knives tonight and waiting to lose. And look, we know if we lose to Brighton next week, that noise will happen again. You know, but there's a fundamental contradiction that we've raised over and over again, where people are saying, well, the players aren't good enough, but then it's still the manager's fault, and there's a magic manager out there that can come in and do it. And I think at the minute, the way it's looked over the course of the 9 games, considering that we've had really annoying injuries, you know, really annoying injuries to, you know, Perry and Okafor, you know, these kind of injuries, it's been really frustrating. I think we've got to look at the 9 games and, like you said, you know, 3 wins, 2 draws. You know, we're where are we now? 13th. 13th now. You know, we're above Brentford, and you know, waxing lyrical. We know Brentford have got a game coming up, but you know, it's going to be really interesting to see where we sit at the end of the weekend. But I think we're on course at the minute. I really do. I think we're really on course, and I think we've got to, as a fan base, get behind Farke a little bit more, and you know, the players individually like Brendan and whatnot. You know, let's back it. Let's back it, because I think fans think we're a Premier League team, therefore we are automatically entitled to the cream of the crop in terms of managers and players.
We're definitely not. That's not the case, mate. You're spot on. I mean, you made the great point about the Southampton replacements and the Leicester replacements the other day when we were chatting this time last season, and the managers that they got in as a result of sacking their pretty established Premier League manager, certainly in the case of Steve Cooper, who actually didn't have them in the relegation spots when he got sacked. You know, I had some absolute moron coming for me on the TikTok that we did the other day, saying that we should be capable of finishing in the top half. And when I said, well, that's just not realistic in the slightest, he said, well, Bielsa did it. and that you're proving the point. You're proving the point there, in that it's a magic remedy of a manager that some of these fans expect us to be able to go and get. That was lightning in a bottle, once in a generation, once in a lifetime stuff. We're not going to see that again. What we're seeing right now is probably the best we can ever hope for. And I've sat here and said to you, if it comes to the end of the season and Farke's kept us up and the board come and say, thank you so much, Daniel, for everything that you've achieved. You go down in Leeds United folklore, but we're going to move on from you now, and here's a new manager that's going to take us on, and it is an Iriola. I'm all for that. I'm not saying that Daniel Farke's the man forever. Is he the man to take us on and on and on in the Premier League? I don't think so. Probably not. He might be. You never know. We might see a progression of him, and he might progress as a manager to a point where he then takes us to a manager that can establish us in the top 10. Look at Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe was a manager that came through the divisions and then got sacked by Bournemouth, might I add. After taking him down. And then, rebuilt his position back up and got the Newcastle job. So who knows? But the likelihood is that he probably won't be, and we'll move on to a different manager. But as you've rightly said, Brownie, right now, Daniel Farke is probably the best we could possibly hope for, given what he's already created at the club.
Yeah, indeed. As Johnny says here, Bielsa was a unicorn. We will not see another again in our lifetime. Phil, I think we've crossed over from the West Ham fans. Welcome along, mate. Let's sack another manager. Come on, lads. It's the West Ham way. Nuno out. Do you think? Is Nuno in trouble? Do you think?
I think he's on a short leash. I don't know what they would again hope to do by sacking and getting another one. They'd put themselves in a real trouble. But Forest have shown that if you throw enough at it, you can go out and get yourself somebody that's got enough credibility in the Sean Dyche, and they're on their third manager already this season. I definitely think he's on a bit of a short leash because, West Ham, they can't go down, really, given the investment, given the way that the club is and the stadium and all the rest of it. If it don't work and you don't start winning games, he's probably going to be struggling. But they have some real problems. They have some real holes in their team. I mean, they had Irving in the team today, who I think is nowhere near ready to play Premier League football. Scales in the team, who I don't think is really anywhere near to play Premier League football. Defensively, I think they've got some real issues. Souček is not the player that he was a few years ago. He's probably seen his better days. They have some problems.
Yeah.
They do definitely have some problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's you don't want to be that circus club D in the Premier League, and I would argue that from the time we were up with Bielsa, the Premier League's improved, or it's got harder because you've seen those kind of middling teams improve so much. So Brighton, Bournemouth, and all these teams have improved. I remember, we were coming up, and early days of Brighton in the Premier League, under Potter, and they were circling the drain a bit, for a couple of years with Chris Hughton and all that, didn't they? And it's like those teams have leveled up. So I think it's even harder now. I think it's a lot harder 3-4 years on than it was then, and that's why you've seen teams go up and straight back down because they're just not ready, not mentally prepared, and don't have a plan. Whereas now I think it's been a massive wake up call to everyone.
Brownie, look at the Championship.
Oh,
I mean, again,
what is going on?
Again, I mean, I stressed this. I think you stressed it as well beforehand. The relegation teams over the last 2 years were not a barometer to go by, and we're seeing it. Thankfully, we've been proven right within 9 games. But if you have a look at them in the Championship, Leicester are outside the playoffs now. I think they lost last weekend. Southampton are 17th. I think they are, under Will Still, and Ipswich are banging mid-table, 13th, 14th, something like that.
Norwich are in the relegation zone, aren't they, as well?
Who are?
Norwich,
yeah, they've just had the manager on there, I think.
Yeah.
Sheffield United, who we obviously were up against last season, they lose again tonight, and they're just outside the relegation spots. Like, the teams that were in the Premier League that have been... I mean, Luton, for fuck's sake, are in League One. You know what I mean? So these are the teams that they've been competing against in the Premier League for survival. It's a different kettle of fish now. I mean, thankfully, we've shown that we're more than competitive. I think we should be on another 3 points at least. And Sunderland have obviously made a good start. I do think that they'll level out. I think the stats will tell you that as well. And I think Burnley are probably finding themselves in and around where they should be. But even they're showing themselves to be competitive. They're not going away. So... it's a different kettle of fish, mate. But I do agree with you. I think them teams have definitely leveled up. And thankfully for us at the minute, there is a couple that still look weak enough that can be in and around that area of the table. Wolves are starting to look already like they could be dead and buried. I mean, they are so far behind us already. West Ham,
9 points. Christ.
Yeah, three wins that, and I mean they haven't won a game yet in 9, so they will start winning. They will start winning games at some point. By the way, they will. But I still think that Forest are going to be in and around the equation. Regardless of Sean Dyche, I expect them to have a little bounce.
Yeah.
But there's problems there as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, mate. It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah, well, we've got some comments coming in, just the one so far. Daniel Farker, last 20 minutes, you could see the difficult week we had. Would have substituted 11 players if I could. Priceless 3 points. First game after losing momentum is never easy. Have to dig in to win the momentum back. Interesting that. So it's kind of almost kind of saying that Burnley last week was a loss of momentum in some way in terms of a performance drop off somewhat, and we've had to dig it out today, and that's exactly what we've done.
We weren't bad against Burnley. We just weren't as good as what we had been against Bournemouth and Spurs. Yeah. On another day, we win that game 2-0. I really believe that. I mean, there's a couple of slack moments for the goals, but they're still really quality goals that most weeks they won't score. A bit annoyed with Stack for the first one. The more I watched it back, the more I realised that it was actually Stack who let the man go in between the two centre-backs. But I still think then the two centre-backs should deal with it, especially Pascal, because he's the one that it goes over first. Joe Rodon's marking the man behind him, but ultimately it was Stack's fault. And then the second goal is just lethargic. But he thunder bastards it, didn't he? From 25 yards. Like sometimes it happens, but we had enough chances to at least come away with the point that day. It wasn't a huge drop off in performance for me, but today was much better. We were much quicker. We were much more at it. But I'd expect us to be. We're at home.
Yeah,
it's different Ellen Road.
Yeah, as Johnny says here, doing it single out, Longstaff for praise today. I thought he gave us some streetwise grit in midfield, and yeah, it's just this kind of constant presence, isn't he? And he racks up the kilometres, doesn't he? How much ground he covers, and the set pieces are just invaluable now. And he's just settled in marvellously well, hasn't he? Really,
he's one of the first names on the team sheet for me.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a world in which he comes out for Stack or Tanaka right now. His experience is vital. Again, that's why we made such a song and dance about the signing in the summer, Browney. Me and you were both really staunch on the defence. If he'd have come from the continent, I think we'd have just waxed lyrical about what a great signing it was. But because he comes from the northeast and he's called Longstaff, we didn't as a fan base. But now we're seeing he gives the ball away a little bit too much at times. Unnecessarily. There were a moment within about 2 minutes down on near the byline where I thought, you tried to give it back to Bogle and it kind of puts us in a bit of trouble, but his experience is so vital and he reads the game extremely well. He reads it, it dictates the tempo of the game really well. He has this kind of aura and control over the midfield in a way that not many midfielders will do, and that's down to playing 200 times in the Premier League. I think most of the time his pass selection is really good. He's good in the tackle. He'll put his body on the line. It's all you can hope for, and for me, he's a class act. I think for me, now that Pascal's not in the team, he's the number 2 captain. He's the vice captain of the team. I think he's a captain on the pitch along with Ethan. And I think them two together have a real good workman. Like it lacks in Premier League quality at times. But in terms of making up for it with everything else, he's got it. And that's why it's such a shame that Brendan gets such hate. Because I think he's part of that as well, down that right-hand side, because it tends to be Brendan, Longstaff, and then Ampadu behind them. They work so hard together.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And I agree with you, what you said earlier about Ampadu. I thought he was back to his absolute kind of best.
Brilliant first half.
Best. With a lot of talk about XG this week. At Leeds, it was about 1.5 XG to West Ham's half again. So another, whatever you want to read into it. But look, these are the underlying figures that point to us doing something right again. Add it on at this point, isn't it, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I love doing these streams, but I hate hearing myself say the same thing.
Yeah.
But I am glad that I can, because the reality of what I'm saying keeps getting borne out more often than not. And even I don't just judge a game based on a result, especially not after 9 games. you have to try and look at it objectively based on where we now are and have some perspective to this. And after 9 games, in my opinion, I think we're way beyond where I thought we were going to be.
Yeah.
When I saw this team like coming out for the first game of the season, I were a little worried. I were a little worried, especially because I didn't know what to expect from the guys up front. I know Gav made a comment about a proper striker a minute ago, but I think we have a proper striker. I just don't think we have a striker that's going to be very clinical, but it does everything else that we want. And as long as the goals come from the team somewhere, I don't think it really matters who scores. I really don't, and I don't think Daniel Farke will care either. Not in a slightest. I think we continue. You know, we're making a trend of scoring 2 goals a game. By the way,
Yeah,
you know, that is happening fairly regularly.
Yeah, we must be. Yeah, we must. I mean, what's
Wolves 3, Bournemouth 2, Spurs
9? 9
Spurs
goals
4.
so
We
far.
scored 2 again somewhere else, haven't we?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? We are scoring goals now. However, you kind of want to chalk it up. We are 9 goals. I mean, we didn't score a lot early on. We only scored 1 in the first 3. So we scored 1 in the first 3 and then 8 in the next 6. That's not bad. That's not bad going. So, yeah, sure, it'd be lovely if Dominic Calvert-Lewin started scoring more goals, but you don't go out and just get a player of Dominic Calvert-Lewin's experience and ability, certainly not for free. And, you know, we've gone, now's not the time to talk PSR, but we've gone over and over and over this money situation that we've got. It's clear that we were working way tighter than what we maybe thought. You know, when we started the window, we thought we were going to be spending 30 million quid on a striker. That was clearly never the case. So I think we're doing all right, mate.
Yeah. Some more comments from Farke. Pretty interesting one here. It's never easy to win at this level. Difficult week. More than I spoke about in the press conference, we struggled so much with illness and injuries. Players just back after injuries. Stack another hit on his rib. Finding the right mix was difficult. Started bravely. What else? Here we go. A bit on Bijol. The quality of Xhaka, why we signed him. Beneficial to have 2 90 minutes during the international break. His confidence was growing in training. Pascal ill this week. Last game, not big mistakes, but unlucky to be involved in the goals. Doesn't sound like Okafor has re-injured himself. Farke was keen to take him off around 50 or 55 minutes anyway. The length of the first half made it make sense to just change him then. Hopefully,
that makes sense.
Yeah. Hopefully Goodmanson is just a bruise. Relief in the dressing room, but unbelievably exhausted too. They have delivered performances, but points have slipped away from them. We spoke about the final 1 or 2% we need. We did that tonight. And then finally, Wild in the first half needed to be more compact and stop going for counters every time. Needed periods of keeping the ball and did that for the first 25 of the second half. After that, we were getting more tired. Covered more distance tonight than any other game this season. Yeah, so a very hard fought win. And I think that's the other thing that I'm impressed with the whole setup is how much buy-in there is from the players. Because look, we watched a shambles of a Leeds United team that year we got relegated in the Premier League, and it really feels like these boys won it. You know what I mean?
We keep on getting flashback highlights of the Jesse Marsh season, don't we? Because we're now playing teams that we played 3 years ago when we got relegated. They keep on popping up, and the West Ham goals came up today. I saw them online, and you're just seeing defenders like Spider-Man in all over the place.
So
like
bad.
Pascal was part of that, and I did have a chuckle to myself earlier because I mean it is so bad as the defending. So yeah, mate, it's a far cry from that. And again, people are just so quick. You know, on paper, the team that we had with Jesse Marsh is literally light years in front of this. It is. I know people won't want to admit that, and there's there's players within this system that we've now grown to really like and love in a Leeds shirt. Doesn't mean that the quality is as good. You know, it doesn't. Rodrigo, as an example, is head and shoulders above what Dominic Calvert-Lewin is. You know, Mark Rocker. You know, the quality of these players is beyond this. But look at what we were served up in comparison to what we're seeing now. You know, we're bringing. No disrespect to Ilya Gruev. We're bringing Ilya Gruev onto the pitch, who's so limited. But Danny Farke is capable of getting performances out of him. Brendan Aronson, I'd put into that. Jack Harrison, I'd put into that. You know, Sean Longstaff. You know, if you wanna be critical, yeah, he's got the experience and the games, but technically, you know, this squad is limited. It is limited, but we're getting absolute maximum out of it. Do you agree? I know we're going on a bit and we need to finish because it's a late one with the extra 15 minutes added on, but do you buy into this? Because like I speak to genuine fans who are like, this team should be higher up the table than what it is. It should be delivering more than it is. And I'm like, what world are you living in? Like, this team will do well to finish 15th. It really will. Like, 15th would be an overachievement.
100%. But this was part of the reason why I was a little bit down about it after the Burnley game this week, because it almost dawned on me that we're kind of, the performances have almost been like an overachievement. I thought,
100%.
we're actually not, we're quite a limited team, really limited team in a lot of ways, and that was part of that realization of, oh God. So I mean, for me, if we stay up, we've cracked it. That's it.
100%.
We've absolutely done it. You know, 17th. See you later.
I don't think Farker will get the credit he deserves if he finished 17th, mate. I really don't. Like, I can just imagine it now. It will be such an achievement. Such an achievement. If we crawl over the line on goal difference on the final game of the season, it'll be a huge achievement.
Well, I think it needs, and this is why I was almost annoyed with him. Well, not almost annoyed, but more annoyed we didn't beat Bournemouth, because I think we need that statement win.
Yeah.
We need a statement win against, you know, maybe a top, against a top, you know, Bournemouth would have been perfect if we'd have won that game, because I think the media narrative would have changed. And I think there's still a lot of sneering about Daniel Farke. I listen to football podcasts where, you know, they're like, oh, Daniel Farke, you know, whatever. Do you know what I mean? I think he's not getting any recognition at all, you know, from the wider perspective, the wider footballing world. I mean, you know, you listen to analysis, I don't hear any kind of positive stuff about him or what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I think that once that starts to change, maybe fans will go, oh, yeah, actually.
It's the players.
You need a statement.
No, I hear you. It seems to be too often that it's the players when it goes right, but the manager's fault when it goes wrong. That's how it seems to be all the time. With Farke. And you know, I even saw somebody criticising the fact that we didn't go up in season 1 because we had a front five of Bamford, Somerville, Rutter, James, and some. Yeah, I can't remember, but it were, you know, the point was that it included Rutter and Somerville, but no context to the fact of what he had to deal with that summer. No context to the build-up. You know, me and you have both been big enough to say that we'd have been happy if he'd have gone after the playoff final, but in hindsight, we've now changed his opinion on that, and we saw that we were wrong. Like, you can be big enough to do that, and you know, he's proven that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Jay, that's 3 points banked, but a couple of difficult away games up next. Interesting fixtures as well. Brighton, I don't like Brighton away. I mean, God, it just stinks, doesn't it? I mean, it's
bonus,
just
mate. It's a bonus.
Stinky, in it. Yeah, exactly. We've got us 3 points this week, and then it's Forest the week after. Who, I think there might be a different kettle of fish under Dyche. I think it's. Look, they were very good apparently last night, but it was a Europa League tie. We don't know how that's going to transition, and he had kind of that initial bounce at Everton, didn't he? And then they got sick of him. Do you know what I mean? But it's. We don't know what we'll be turning up to in a couple of weeks' time. It's going to be fascinating. But what are your thoughts ahead of those two games?
I'd bite your hand off with 2 points.
Yeah.
Right now, if I'm honest. Again, I think any points that you can get on the road are a bonus. I think Brighton will be extremely tough. They're just a lovely football inside. They'll move us around so much. But let's just see what we can turn up. Hopefully, you know, maybe we go down there and sink the place out when we get a point. There's no pressure on it. I won't be expecting us to get anything, if I'm honest. And maybe that could be the statement win. Forest, I think we could be really competitive against Forest. I don't think they're a very good side. I don't think these management changes are going to deter me away from recognising them as they are. They have some decent individual players, but they were so far out of position last season that people think they're a top 7 team, and they're not. They're a mid-table team at best, 10th to 14th, probably somewhere in that kind of bracket.
Yeah.
And at the minute, it's not all together, and they've had such a change in between the managers, Nuno to Ange, back to now Sean Dyche. Like, it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of acclimatises. Let's see what they do against Bournemouth. That's a proper acid test for the first game. And hopefully they get thumped, and it kind of sets them on a bit of a railroad to disaster again. And Marinakis is sacking another one.
Yeah.
We see him
Give
sacking
yourself
another
the
one
job,
after
mate.
Leeds.
Give yourself the job, Jesus.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's funny because Daniel Farke's comments then about the players being exhausted, and I think, you know, that mentally draining aspect to the Premier League as well. I mean, you think in the Championship it was like games Saturday, Tuesday, and it was like, but in the Premier League there's like a mental exhaustion to it as well. I think must just be so draining.
Yeah, 100%. I think you see that through the course of even a 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, fighting to get 3 points in the Premier League is an extremely difficult task.
Yeah.
You know, again, that's why people, when they're just losing their minds about a couple of losses, I'm just like, what is your problem? Extremely difficult to win games in the
We
Premier
all
League.
said it was going to be difficult. We won't win many games, and then when it happens, everyone's going, they're losing their minds about what we said it was going to be like. I don't get it.
Okay. nine games in, 30% of the way done, mate.
Yeah,
that's not bad going. You know, we are trending on track to stay up. That's a massive achievement. I thought we would probably be worse off than what we are right now.
Yeah.
And the real encouraging thing is we should be better off. We should be another 2 or 3 points ahead of where we are. So we can't be unhappy, mate. We can't. Again, you know, tonight, a lot of pressure on the boys. They turn up, they're 2-0 up in 15 minutes. They do the job. Like, they have got it within them to do it. I'm really proud of them, mate. Really proud of the boys.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I think that's a perfect way to leave the stream on. Thank you to everyone who's watched along and commented. Please make sure you like the video. If you're watching again later, drop your comments in as well, and subscribe to the channel. Myself and Jason will be back later in the week for a preview to the Brighton game and picking up any Leeds news since then. But we can enjoy our weekend now as football fans. We can watch it, tune into the other games, relaxed in the knowledge that we've acquired 3 points ourselves. So yeah, we just enjoy it now. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, mate.
And we will see you again soon. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.